once I see it there.
Cool. Okay, so we're live on YouTube and Periscope right now. So if you wanted to go on Twitter, you could probably find it.
Okay, there's some kind of buzz. Do you hear that buzz?
No.
Oh, you don't? Okay. I wonder if that's me. Interesting.
I don't hear anything like that. Okay, Facebook's loading up right now.
Okay, cool.
And I'll tell you when it's on.
All right. No problem. That's awesome.
It usually only takes a second.
Yeah, for some reason, I hear a little bit of a buzz. Maybe that's just me. Okay. Yeah, I still hear it. That's kind of funky. I wonder why that is. Okay. All right. Well, it's picking up my microphone. Oh, do I want to uncheck automatically adjust microphone settings?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I just did that. All right.
All right. I have one more thing to do, and then we'll be on that. The mic is hot. I mean, they're hearing us chit chat about our connection, which is no big deal.
Hey, everybody. Okay, oh wait, that said 7 hours. 7 hours live leap shared Todd.LIVE. Okay.
All right.
Oh wait, that said 7 hours. Oh wait. 7 hours. All right, sweet. So I hear you. Okay, yeah, great. I see it. Awesome.
Okay, Jen Nelson's with us. Hey, Jen, how you doing?
Jen.
We got a couple people on Periscope. We've got my mom joined us on, and Mr. 724 Roman joined us on Instagram Live. Folks, this is a quadcast. So I'm going live to Facebook, Periscope, YouTube, and Instagram Live. The downside for my Instagram Live fans is that there is going to be anywhere from a 5 to 8 second delay between what you hear me say and what you see my mouth say. So if I drop an F-bomb, you'd know if I dropped it because my lips would do it, but my lips would do it 8 seconds later after you hear it because of the way Instagram works. So my apologies. If you want a perfect recording, look up Todd.LIVE or look up Todd Bergen on Periscope, look up Todd.LIVE on Facebook, and you will get a better experience there as far as sound and synchronization with our mouths. Today, folks, let me get rid of the opening screen here, and let's just move right on into who's with me. Peter Nez, Professor Nez. Professor, you are live on screen now.
Hey, Todd, how are you, man? It's good to see you.
I'm doing great.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, man, it's such a pleasure to have you on. Folks, if you don't know Professor Nez, then you're not doing social media right. Professor is everywhere, and he's just hitting it hard about live video, social media, authenticity, you know, what it takes to be a commanding presence on the internet, you know, in a sense that, you know, people are going to be attracted to you, going to be interested in what your message is, and in helping other people. Professor Nez is really good at that. I met Professor Nez, gosh, it's been about 1.5 years since we first connected on the internet. You were on a podcast of mine, I think last year, Divorce Workforce podcast, and you've been on my live video a couple of times, I think. I know you've been on at least twice. I'm pretty sure I've been on your show once. So we're building history.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I'm just connecting with you has just been awesome. And I'm loving the community. I just think this is such an amazing community, especially the live streaming community. I know that you had Ross Brand on last night. I had a client call that went way longer than expected, and I was dying to check that show out. And, you know, Ross is just terrific, as most people watching know, and you know, and no, I'm just loving everything that's happening. I'm loving the community. I'm loving the way that everybody's supporting each other. And, you know, we're trying to produce some pretty quality shows. We're trying to do our best. We fail sometimes, you know, you know, you miss the mark, you know, and that's okay. But, you know, I think that our enthusiasm, I think that passion is more contagious than Ebola. And if you're passionate about it, if you really are enthusiastic about it, I think the audience is going to pick that up. So I'm super pumped to be with you here.
You know what? I am as well. I mean, and it's a shame that we don't see each other more often when we only live about 10 miles apart. I think we've had one lunch, but we private message constantly. We do videos, we hook up in various ways over the internet, but meeting together to have a sandwich or something like that has only happened once, and we didn't even have that long to even have a sandwich, I don't think.
That's true. But isn't this just like the perfect, like, To me, it just personifies being an entrepreneur and being somebody who's, every single day trying to amplify their message and grow their audience. It's like I don't even have any friends anymore, really. I mean, like all my friends from college and high school, it's like hasta la pasta. Being a family person, I know you have kids too. Your kids
Yep.
are a little bit older than mine, but I have kids. Ross Brand's in the house. Good to see you, Ross,
Good
the
to see
mayor
you,
of live
Ross.
streaming.
There he is.
And it's just like I think it's indicative. It's really sad. We need to change that, but it's indicative of I think the lifestyle, and it's indicative of if you're somebody who's trying to put in the work, who loves what you're doing, who understands how the landscape works. Your time it's a funky thing. I still haven't figured that out. I'm working on it.
It is. It's a lot of time in front of the computer, and it's a lot of time. I guess in some ways it's tedious time. I actually have fun with it, but
it's a lot of fun. Don't get me wrong. It's a lot of fun. I think you wouldn't be able to execute this if you were just solely doing this because it was the newest thing or what have you, or any kind of mindset like that. I mean, I know that you've been doing this for a while. I first recognized you and came across you on Snapchat. This was about a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I really really started in the live streaming game late 2015, early 2016. So this is all new, I think, for a lot of people. And my enthusiasm has not waned one molecule. I know yours hasn't either.
No,
you're doing amazing stuff, Todd. You're inspiring me, Todd, because your level of production. I was telling Ross when Ross had me on his show, I was saying, man, when I see those stills and those Insta stories of your studio and just what you've got right now with the lower thirds and the level of professionalism, like I'm super inspired and like you're crushing it, dude. You're doing
thanks,
great,
man. Well, I'll tell you what, it's just time that I broadcast more. I've really summer's been tough. Sports, spring and summer have been tough. I've had kids sports and then some travel, but I was looking at the calendar and I'm traveling once over Labor Day to the Bay Area for a soccer tournament, and I think I'm going to Kentucky for a quick Thanksgiving. But aside from that, there's no travel between here and Christmas, so it's like I'm going to hit it hard. I've had show ideas, and committing to times has been a real difficult thing. And I just decided, you know what it did? Jen Nelson, I've shouted her out on this over and over again. She got me on the 31 Days Live. And that was during the month of July when I was traveling, and I missed like 5 days, but I really hit it hard and got to do a lot of videos.
No, you did.
Yeah, with my phone, right?
Yeah.
But when I came back, it was like, you know what? I'm gonna broadcast every day something, except for I'm giving myself weekends off, and you know what? I still may sneak away and get in front of the lights and the camera on the weekends if I can, but I'm going to try to do something every day, quality content, not just fluff and nonsense. I mean, look, this show right here is supposed to be, in a sense, fluff, maybe not nonsense, but this is like a blabbish.
I thought every show I did was nonsense.
Well, you know what? Yeah, if I and me too, right? I mean, we can't take ourselves too seriously, but I got to thinking about Blab. People started talking about a week ago about how Blab came up on the 1-year anniversary of it being turned off. And I'm not trying to reproduce Blab, but I've had the name Live Video Live now for some time, and I've never really ever gotten serious with it. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to have a Blab-esque type show where I have live streamers and content creators come on, and there's no expectations of a podcast and a ton of promotion and everything. We'll just, over time, it'll just be known as a primetime 8 o'clock-ish show. Then I'm going to put on Monday through Thursday. Maybe I'll do Friday when I can, and just come on and have some fun for half hour, an hour. And
absolutely. Isn't that what it's all about? I mean, it's all about that. I think that everybody that's doing this, everybody that's watching, and people who are doing this regularly, that's the thing this Blab was way before my time. But what I think Blab personifies is that sense of community. It's the people. It's the way that they interact. It's the communication. It's the good times. It was fun. People aren't doing this, necessarily just for the fact that, even though it's a great tool for amplifying your business and growing your message, I think it's the best tool, actually, frankly. But it's more than that. It's that immediate response. It's that level of connectivity that really every other form, long form or short form doesn't really. I don't think it really kind of holds a candle to what this can really demonstrate. So No, I totally agree. And I think that's such a cool idea, right? Just, my Neznation live show, even though I've got my questions and I've got concepts, I always tell my guests, I'd love your thoughts on this too, Todd, being
Sure.
somebody who's in this space. And Brad Friedman's in the house. I'm going to be on Brad's show tomorrow. Good to see you, Brad.
Nice. I've been on Brad's show. He's fantastic.
He is a really cool dude. Love it. Good to see you, Brad. And I think this is so. What I tell my guests on Neznation Live is I say, look, the whole entire show is about you. It's a show about bringing creative, innovative people who are doing groundbreaking things within their respective fields and sharing their story. Right? It's all about the power of conversation. I've told you this before, Todd. Somebody who's had 3 degrees, somebody who's a writing professor, somebody who's a little bit dismayed at how education's been treating their customers, or some people call them students,
Yeah.
is that there's this disconnect, and it's a lot of it is finger pointing, curriculum, textbook, activities that are not really designed to like engender critical thinking and really that open discussion and open dialogue. Whereas what was Blab? What is live streaming? It's the power of words. It's the power of conversation. It's the power of connecting. I've learned more from just one-on-one conversations and group conversation with my friends at Starbucks or at the bistro or at the bar or whatever than I think I ever did in a classroom.
Right.
And I think that's what Blab and live streaming, I think that really is what it's all about, man. And I
Right.
love this idea that you got for the 8 o'clock show.
Well, and part of it too, I was thinking about it when you texted me. Ross asked the same thing, and whoever's given us all the love on Facebook, thank you so much.
Thank you guys.
People,
sharing is caring. Share it out too.
oh yeah, share it out. I agree. Sharing is caring. I always remember Joel Comm always said that, and probably still
Yeah.
does. I lost my train of thought. This show, I don't know where it's going to go. This is the 3rd episode. I have Coach Jenny tomorrow, so I can't
Cool.
wait to see her. So it's been a great week. Jen Nelson, Ross Brand, you, and Coach Jenny. I mean,
Awesome.
what a great start to this thing.
Wow.
But
That's a good lineup.
I was thinking about it. Ross asked too, did I have any promotional cards prepared? And you asked the same thing. And I thought to myself, I might have to start doing promotional cards like I do with Create and Engage. And I don't really do it with the From Scratch because I'm making it. That's like clockwork. Every day it's, 10:30, whatever. But I thought about this one. I might not ever even do promotional cards. And it's like the people that are watching this on a regular basis are always going to have to check in and see who the guest is.
Oh, that's a great idea. You know what's really funny about that, Todd? Man, I'm like giddy right now. Like what you're doing is causing goosebumps on the back of my neck. Cause like literally I wanted to so Neznation Live with my show, and I was kind of doing it sporadically. I wasn't doing it weekly. I wasn't doing it the way you were quote unquote supposed to do it. Right. And now I'm trying to do a weekly show every Friday, 7 p.m. Pacific, not to plug it or anything.
Right. No.
but,
hey,
but
do it, my friend.
But I mean, like I love that idea of it being something kind of like special and something almost this mystifying, this allure of like, you got to put in the effort. You got to put in, the audience has to put in the effort. It's kind of like, when you're really committed, you seek out, right? You seek out the good shows. You seek out. I remember when we were kids, like we always wondered like who was going to be the secret guest on Twilight Zone, because they always had these secret guests, and they always had these guest actors, like big time actors like William Shatner at the time. And, we didn't have an opportunity to watch all the advertisements or what have you. So it was just kind of cool to get that sort of surprise element in there because we had school and because we were busy with other things. Like, I think that's such a cool idea of like creating a show where there is none of that sort of excessive marketing, promo, thumbnail type of deal, but you're just really focused on producing a good show and having fun. That's awesome. I think that's great.
Well, I'll tell you, Jen Nelson just sent me a private message. I have my first little lower third snafu ever. I don't know if you see it. I've just eliminated it now. But I have 3 different. Well, I have layers. I don't know. You don't use Wirecast, do you?
No, I don't.
Okay, so you create these layers. So this is kind of embarrassing. I must have missed it, but
it says Ross Brand.
It did say, it hadn't changed yet. There we go. Now it's changed. Well, on
That's so
on the
funny.
one where I have you
That's so funny.
solo, on the one where I have
Yeah.
you solo, I got it right. So what I needed to do was delete that other file.
Hey, I'm
Um,
honored. I'm honored. I mean, Ross Brand. I mean, hey, if somebody mistakes me for Ross Brand, I must be doing something good.
but anyway, I'll tell you something. This just taught me a little lesson on how to fix things on the fly. So we lose the lower thirds when we're together, but that's okay. You know what? It is what it is.
That's cool. No,
But
that's no. I think that's. See, that's the cool thing about live video, right? Is that I love when Alex Kahn was on my show. The great Alex Kahn. Yeah, right, Jen. Who wouldn't want to be Ross Brand? Exactly.
oh,
When Alex Kahn was on my show, we talked about the concept of imperfection. And if there was a medium that tolerated imperfection, I think it's live streaming, because I think that when people come on too premeditated, too scripted, it can come off as, maybe a little bit too polished. I know Owen Video talked about that on his show today, and I couldn't agree more. I think if there is a medium that tolerates that rawness and the so-called imperfections, which can actually be little beautiful imperfections,
right.
like those imperfections can actually entice and engage the audience even more. Because think of the relatability, right? Like when we saw like Peter Jennings, and we see these amazing broadcasters and VJs and DJs, right, in radio and TV and print,
Right.
like they were on another level, another stratosphere, right? And I'm not saying that you just go and vomit on the camera and just hit that live button with no intention. I think you should have a purpose, which you definitely do, and I do too. But it's cool because that sort of raw organicness, that sort of like that real time thing where anything can happen, right?
Absolutely.
It has that extra sort of fragrance to it, that extra sort of mystique to it that I don't think any other kind of medium does. And it's so cool if you actually just adapt, adjust, you don't make a big deal out of it, you don't take yourself too seriously, as you said before. That's the ticket, and I think the audience digs it. They can relate to that more, I think.
Absolutely. Well, I couldn't agree with you more. And there's always little things that go wrong. I had two interviews this week. I had Jen Nelson on Live Video Live on, I think it was Monday night, and we had an audio issue, and it comes to be that may have been on my end. I think I got that audio issue somewhat fixed for Mike Unplugs, Mike Murphy's interview with Create and Engage on Tuesday morning, but we still had an issue, and actually the issue was his volume is really low, and I'm not sure if that was on my end or not, but I tinkered with a few things, and ever since the end of Mike's broadcast, it's gone. So, but the point being that even though the sound, I mean, Jen and I plugged away and we did it, we did it. And there was some obvious sound issue, and it sucks when that happens. But on the other hand, it was, I mean, the quality was there that people could hear, and we had fun, and, things happen. And same thing with Mike. In fact, I didn't even realize that Mike's audio was low because I was hearing it perfectly. It wasn't until it wasn't until I went back to the broadcast later that I realized it was low. And you know what, when you're producing your own stuff, or, it's tough. I mean, there's a lot of things going on here. I have three iPads, a cell phone, a laptop, and a desktop, all going for this. And if I were doing the podcast,
I mean, your studio is like, I was joking with Ross. I mean, your studio, it looks like you could literally launch yourself to Saturn with your studio.
Yeah.
Like your studio's got just some of the most killer. It looks so, like my brain would probably melt if I tried to make sense out of all that. And I used to think that my studio was complicated. It's really not. But I mean, I know that you know what you're doing, and it shows. Hey, Barb, good to see you. Barb's in the house.
Oh, yeah, there she is.
Good to see you, Barb.
Thank you, Barb, for the invite last night.
And I just think that it's so, yeah, she's got a great group that she's just created, Born to Live Stream. What a great name for that group. I think that's a killer name for a Facebook group. And I know you've just been added, right, Todd? I think it's a great group. Barb does a good job. Yeah, it does. You're right, man. It does take a lot of work. It does take a lot of effort because, I think that you and I both, and Ross and others too, watching, it can sometimes seem like, oh, wow, well, this seems like it's nothing, right? This seems like, well, anybody can just go up there and press that live button. But, you'll really be cruelly deceived, because once you hit that live button, you do get that rush, and you do get that sort of almost like that mixture of excitement, We've lost audio.
There we go. Did that fix it, friends?
Yeah, did that fix it? Okay, Brad confirms. Let's see.
You know what? I was playing with the layers trying to fix. I think it's got to be back. I'm showing the levels on my computer.
Let us know if you can hear it, gang. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Hopefully that didn't last long. I don't think it did. It probably lasted
okay,
about
Brad says it's fixed. And by the way, leave comments, guys. Let us know what you think. I mean, what do you think about what we're talking about, imperfection and this medium? I'd love to hear your thoughts.
Well, you know what I was doing? I was tinkering with the layers and trying to put the lower thirds back up. And
oh, cool.
And I accidentally cleared the music or the I'm just, you know what? I'm trying to.
That's cool because I sounded like a complete buffoon. So you actually saved me. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Nice. Well, let me tell you something. I figure that part of getting this down is when you're in the midst of a live video, if there's a problem, you got to be able to try to fix it. So what I was doing was I was moving the picture over to just you. So when you were talking, and I was trying to fix the layers during that so I could look at the, but I'm just, I'm thinking I might have to use this show as like a, and everybody that comes on, they're part of my test. And I'm improving my skills at fixing things while we're live. Right. And I think that's a good thing. But it can lead to some little problems like the audio went out for a moment.
Right. Right.
Too bad it didn't catch it when I was talking. They'd save everybody a whole lot of headache.
Exactly. Yeah. I think this is such a good idea, Todd, and I think it's going to be a great, sort of tutorial, if you will, or sort of a tool to teach people hey, I think a lot of people are still reticent about going live, right? I mean, in one sense, there's a part of me that's like, oh my God, everybody's going live. But then there's another part of me that's like, well, there's still a lot of people who are holding back because of the thought that, because I've seen it, I still see a lot of live streams where it seems like the individual who's broadcasting just sort of lets that, and Ross would confirm this, you don't want that dead air to last too long, I think.
Right.
If you're going to go live, just keep it rolling, keep it moving. And, I've seen broadcasts where people just kind of sit there and I'm not judging anybody, but they just kind of, it seems like they're almost like a deer caught in the headlights. And I think this show of just, literally just having fun, talking with your pals, talking with your buddies, talking about something you love, it's a great school. I think it's a great university, to put it in that context, to show people, hey, this is what we're doing. Try it out. Check it out. You might get something out of it. You might have fun. Dare I say the word fun?
Absolutely. Well, hey, let's have some fun and talk about the shows that you've got going right now. I know you've got you've got two of your own, and then you're involved with some other guys. I'll let you tell who everyone is in your show. It's you and the names are, they're kind of eluding me right now. Actually, I think I know one, Tim Knox.
Yeah. So, thank you, Todd. Yeah, absolutely. So you guys, most of you might not know, but my talk show is Neznation Live. And that's a show where we just literally have a guest on, and the entire show, it's our interview talk show, which is entirely basically based on the guest. And the entire show is about what they do and how they come and just share their story about how they got started and what they're doing and what their journey consists of and how they're executing and what inspires them. And I take comments, and it's a really cool thing because it really, I think, personifies the power of just a really good conversation. I like to call it a mixture between Jay Leno and Charlie Rose, where it's not, and I don't say that narcissistically that it's anywhere near those guys' level, but I mean, just to put it in a relative term, something that people can kind of associate with, that we've gone real fun and loose, and we've also gone serious, and we've talked about really moving things. We've talked about people, we had somebody on the show who does a nonprofit screening organization that helps, save people from sudden cardiac arrest, which is something that's really under the radar. And we got a ton of views. And this, again, is the power of live video. And then we've also had people like Ross Brand and Todd.LIVE and Roberto Blake and Justin Brown we had recently talk about their journey in video and marketing and consulting and, everything that they're doing with their own business, their own online business. And then, so that's one show. And then the show that's really kind of near and dear, it's just me, really near and dear to my heart, is my Mindset Live show. That's every Monday, 9 a.m. Pacific time, where I talk about this dude right here, the only dude that gets in your way of success, based on my book and pretty much everything that I do, which is my entire thesis. Somebody who's come from severe anxiety. I know it maybe sounds like a shock to most people watching and listening now, but somebody who's had debilitating anxiety and depression when they were a young person. And I talk about ways in which I've sort of come out the other end of that fire, so to speak. And then the Digital Entrepreneur Show, the podcast, which we also have a YouTube channel and a Facebook page. We just concluded season 1. That's all about kind of a show where you bring 3 entrepreneurs, 3 digital entrepreneurs, myself, Tim Knox, and Steve Gamlin, and we talk about, different topics. It's really regimented. That's a much tighter show. It's not live either. It's recorded. And that's a much tighter show and a much more scripted show in the sense that we have specific themes and topics every week. Like one week, we'll talk about sales. One week, we'll talk about marketing. One week, we'll talk about a certain platform or what have you that you can leverage for your business. And we just wrapped that up. That's, we probably won't continue that for a while. So that one we just concluded. We did 14 episodes over the summer, which is pretty cool. So, 14 episodes. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, is it going to be a seasonal kind of a thing?
Well, right now we're not sure. We were thinking it was going to be something continuous, but then we decided maybe it's a little bit too much. So we're still kind of tinkering with that. We're not really exactly sure when we're going to pick it up again, but we're hoping that things will change and things will turn around, and we'll see how that goes. Right now we're kind of all focused on our own kind of thing for now. We did 14 episodes. It was a lot of work to produce that show. It's on iTunes. We have a Facebook business page, the Digital Entrepreneur Show. So yeah, we're kind of happy with what we've got.
Right.
We're happy with season 1, and we'll just see when we're going to start season 2. We're not exactly sure yet, but thank you. Hopefully people are getting value out of it.
Absolutely. So, who started? I mean, was that a thing that was your idea, or did Tim come to you? I'm just wondering how that all came.
What's funny is, do you know Tim Knox? Do you know Tim Knox?
I know of him because of you. I didn't know him prior to you.
Yeah, like it's funny because my original intention for that show was to be about 3 YouTube creators or just 3 video creators. I wanted it to actually be a live show where just 3 dudes go on and go live, and we just talk about our journey. We talk about what's working. We talk about our mistakes. We talk about our flaws. We talk about how hard it is to create video, but also how much fun it is, how exciting it is, and just hopefully just share, because we are 3 definitely kooky personalities. I actually kind of thought it would be, and it actually has turned out to be that way, where there was a lot of comedy, a lot of laughter, because we're pretty extreme personalities, all 3 of us, and the 3 of us together, it's sort of like this, just this circus, if you will. But I mean, it's funny because we structured it, and it was a lot of fun. But that was my original intention. It was actually me who reached out to Steve and Tim. And then it sort of kind of took a shape of its own, as it always does, right? Isn't it always like that?
Yeah.
You kind of have an idea, and then sort of things just take over. And things meaning the dynamic of the personalities, the dynamic of everybody's motives, life kind of sort of creates its own sort of, value, and just things just kind of unfold the way they naturally will. And so we kind of turned it into this, well, let's try to focus it more and try to make it, the branding and marketing side of all of us came out. So let's try to keep it on that track to at least we can leverage it and make sure that people gets noticed. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. Well, I know how difficult it is. I haven't done a show with other co-hosts, but I started down the road with an idea with a friend of mine, and we just couldn't ever even meet up to talk about it. I mean, life just kept getting in the way. We both ran different schedules, and we both are kind of in different businesses, even though we're both online. And I mean, we just could not make the time to even just talk about it. And, I think we both wanted to do it, and we both probably still want to do it, but I just don't see it. We're both so busy that,
Insane.
And that's a part of the reason too, why I started just, I was going to do I was going to say Let's Live Stream. That's somebody else's show, right? And it's a good show at that. Jonathan Tripp, Jen Nelson, Rachel Moore, and I think that's it. And they always have a guest on, but Yeah, I for the live video live, I just decided, you know what, I was going to do it solo, and I thought, you know what, I'm just gonna very quickly ask guests to come on. The from scratch that I do in the daytime, I can do that by myself. That's easy, and I think I'm going to have an occasional guest on that one, but nothing really.
You know, I said it before. I loved your podcast, Divorce the Workforce,
It was
and
great,
even
wasn't it?
Roberto. I mentioned that to Roberto when he was on my show, and I told Roberto I think that's probably one of the best titles of a podcast I think I've ever heard, and Roberto actually agreed. Roberto said, I think it's an amazing brand. It's an amazing title. I love, I love the show title, Create and Engage too. It's give me the full title. I'm sorry.
It's just Create and Engage with Todd.LIVE.
Yeah, I think that's really cool because it's simple and it's focused, and I
Yeah.
love that. And
And
I
it
know
casts,
that you're
it
yeah.
casts kind of a wide net, like social
Yeah,
media,
yeah,
live
yeah.
video. You know,
And
anybody
I
can come
remember
on.
you telling me that. I remember you telling me, you were like, Peter, I don't really want to be tied down to that specific niche of, entrepreneurs coming out of the, specific 9 to 5 gig. I want to have a wider scope. And I think that's brilliant. I think Create and Engage, I think those kind of titles, and those kinds of broadcasts and that type of conciseness in your mentality, like live stream universe, Neznation Live, which actually, by the way, everybody listening,
Ah,
I was struggling with a title for that show, and I'll never forget this, guys. Todd sends me a message on Facebook or whatever, one of the private messengers, and I love the way he said it. It was like Clint Eastwood. I remember thinking of Clint Eastwood when he sent it to me. He goes, dude, if you don't use Neznation Live, you're totally screwed, or something like that. It just had that. I could see Todd with a beer and a cigar, like typing that in the Facebook Messenger, and I was like, "Holy shnikes!"
well,
He's totally right.
you were already talking to your people and calling them Neznation. I mean, it just, what
I've
better
got the
way
sign right here. I've
I
got the
know.
hashtag sign.
Well, you can't see it on there you go. There it is,
Yeah,
folks.
I got it right here. I mean, for crying out loud, you were totally right, and it's actually Todd's idea.
Well,
it was Todd's idea.
It was your idea because you were already using it, and it was just like you were trying to think of a different name, something that was I don't know what your goal was, but it was just like, dude, Neznation, it's got your name in it, and people are going to start knowing you as Neznation, and it's kind of like my friend Mike Resendez, who's Reezy Resells. He calls his people Reezy Ninjas. And I don't know if he has any show called Reezy Ninjas, but he's constantly referring to Reezy Ninjas. They call themselves Reezy Ninjas. And, I'd love to have.
It's brilliant branding. Brilliant branding.
I'd love to have Nation or, I mean, there's all sorts of these suffixes that you can put in.
Bergen Nation.
Yeah, but you know what? You're Neznation.
Thank you, Barb.
We don't need too many nations. So, Todd. And I kind of like Todd.live because
true.
there's already people out there that don't even know my real name. They just know me as Todd.live. And you know what?
I think that's killer. I think that's killer. Like even Roberto, when you came on, I think you came on the broadcast after the first hour mark. I mean, Roberto is just like he is just a viper, like a machine.
He is.
This guy, I couldn't, and you know me, Todd. I mean, well, you know that I have super energy. I'm like a locomotive.
Right.
This guy was an aircraft carrier. I mean, he blew me out. I think that was the most silent, which I know is difficult for me to be.
Yeah.
Like Roberto silenced me, and I was so happy to listen. I felt like a fan watching, like Roberto just do his thing. And everybody watching too, like Ross and Barb and Jen and Rosie and Brad. These guys, I mean, everybody watching right now, you guys are doing amazing stuff. And I feel so blessed and honored to be a part of this. And you're right. I think Todd, Roberto was like Todd.live. He identified you. He goes, oh, cool. Todd.live is here.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me is brilliant branding. That to me is brilliant marketing, right? If you can establish yourself as Todd.live,
Yeah.
and I'm trying to establish myself as Professor Nez, right? Obviously, my first name's not Professor, right?
Right.
But that's sort of my brand that I'm trying to create this, use my credibility as a writing professor in a way that actually helps people instead of just giving them an F or a D or an A or whatever.
Right.
I that's my dream come true. I would love that. I mean, and it's all in the name of really being my own authority, really being somebody who's controlling my own vision, my own purpose on my own terms. There's nothing narcissistic about Neznation. There's nothing ego about Professor Nez. Like, I'm humbled by Todd.LIVE. I'm humbled by Barb, Brad, Ross, everybody watching. Like, I'm truly, truly am learning a lot from people like Joel and people, like Alex Kahn and Roberto and Justin Brown. I'm learning a ton, and it's just it's awesome to be a part of this community. It's just I love it.
You know what, you said it so beautifully. I can just say I echo or ditto it, or I mean, you're completely right. And the name is great, Neznation. I don't know. Have you bought Nez Live or Nez?
Yes. So I wanted to ask your advice about this, and I'd love to hear from people watching too. So, and dude, I need to do more with it. I still have my ProfessorNez.com, but I bought ProfessorNez.live. I brought Neznation, Neznation.live, and I think I even bought the domain NezNationLive.live. I don't think I did. Maybe I didn't. I don't know. I know for a fact. Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say I would NezNation.live. I mean, I would even.
You don't buy NezNationLive.live, right? That would sound weird, right?
Yeah, no, I'd probably let that one go.
Yeah. Then I also bought a goofball.live. No, I'm kidding. I didn't buy that.
You know what? If you're a speculator, it's not a bad one to have, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
seriously. Although,
right.
You know what?
I'll flip it.
It'll be a long time before the .lives are bought up like the .coms, if that ever happens. But you know what? It very well may. And all the names, like if you would have tried to get Peter.live, first of all, it was probably already gone by the time you got there. But I know that the names, I mean, let's look at who's with us tonight. We've got Ross Brand. So well, you know what? Ross.com might not have been taken. .live might not have been taken. That's not as common of a name that they might not have thought of that, but definitely Brad. Brad's with us. Brad.live, Barb.live, that would be gone. But Jen.live, it depends. There's JEN and there's JENN. And actually, Jen and I would have the same problem. And this is the problem I had. I bought Todd.live with 2 Ds. But on planet Earth, the more popular way to spell Todd is 1D. And, anywhere in Europe, everyone spells Todd 1D. Anyone from Latin America that spells my name, it wants to spell it with 1D. And I decided, I toiled with this for weeks because Todd.live, TODD.live, was $150 per year to own that domain. And
wow, I mean, I remember you telling me that story.
Yeah, and
I can't believe it.
TOD.live is $300 a year because it's a more popular way to spell it. And I just thought to myself, look, somebody could go get TODDD. That's not going to make any sense for them. Go ahead and knock yourself out. But I have the 2 common spellings for Todd.live, and I did that to protect my brand. I'm paying $300 a year so that there can only be one real Todd.live with it spelled the way it's spelled.
Wow.
And Jen
look at what Ross said. Ross said, great advice. Keep your Brad says, go with goofball.live. Ross says, keep your ProfessorNez.com as your business site and then use Neznation Live to redirect for your show. That's really great advice. And Barb says, I'm slowly morphing into Barbie.live. Yeah, exactly. Brad, I'm sure Brad.live must have been gone right away. He had to go with Brad's.live.
Well, he probably got Brad's.live at a discount. I can't imagine that would have been $150 or $200, $300. But
so let me ask you, Todd, what would you advise me and everybody watching? Because this is a great opportunity to get some advice.
Right.
So I haven't done as much as I want to do, obviously, with my .live. I don't even know what the hell I'm saying. Let me just be completely honest. I haven't done jack because I've just been focusing on so many different things, which is not an excuse or not right or wrong, but it is what it is. So when Ross says redirecting it for your show, so would I have links to all my social on my Neznation.live, or would it strictly just be a landing page / website for all my lives, even like my Twitter lives or even like my YouTube lives, or what would you say is the best way to orient?
I'm not sure I'm the right person to answer it because I have Todd.live is actually a developed website and I do nothing with it. When I first got it and it's a beautiful site. And when I first got it,
it's a killer site. I saw it. It's killer.
But I've changed the coloring, all the colors and things that I use online in social media, they don't match. And so I need to go back and I need to do some tweaks on my website, but I never have time to write, and I repurpose the content. Let's say this broadcast we're doing tonight, it's going to 4 places. and I've got to go to Facebook after the fact and fix the tags and there's things I got to go back and do. I got to do that on YouTube as well. I don't have to do it with Instagram and Periscope, but if I also have to do it for the website, that's just more work. I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do with the website. And to be quite honest with you, we've talked about Roberto so much. I really like his website. It's very simple. It's very clean. Yeah. He's front and center on all the pages. It's easy to navigate, and there's not too much going on. I feel like my site, there's way too much going on. I need to simplify it, and I need to find a way to focus it on video. But you know, I don't know that I'm the right person to say, because I'm still trying to figure out what I'm going to do with the website Todd.LIVE. I have all my social links there, but I don't really use the website. I use Facebook, I use Instagram, and I use YouTube. And
that's so interesting, because yeah, I mean, I'm still like, you know, yeah, it's like, you know, the old adage, and I want to read Barb and Ross's answers are great. But you know, you don't want to build land on rented property, but at the same time, it's almost like, okay, but I'm building such great platforms, and yes, I absolutely agree that I need to funnel them over onto my own list. And yes, I don't know how much I believe that, you know, anything could happen tomorrow to YouTube and Facebook. I just don't see that being realistic.
Right.
But at the same time, I do see the intelligence and practicality of having your own property. Ownership is crucial, right?
Yeah.
And when we say ownership, owning the sort of list, owning your audience, not owning your audience, but owning where they sort of end up, so that you can always have access to them, just in case, God forbid, there is this, I don't know, this strange apocalypse that people sometimes say. What if YouTube dies tomorrow? I don't see any of that happening. I really don't see any of that happening. I was actually using my Facebook business page as a website, because it pretty much does function as a website. Yes, I own Neznation.com, Ross, absolutely. And I have, oh, I'm sorry. No, you know what? I do not have Neznation.com. I actually don't. I'm sorry. Yeah, so that's interesting. Typically, it redirects to my FB page, he says. But if I decide to host my show elsewhere, people can still find me by going to rossbrand.todd.live.
I think that was a typo.
Was that a typo? Okay, that was a typo.
Maybe.
Yeah. And so, yeah, he meant rossbrand.live probably. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't own Neznation.com. That's really interesting.
Yeah, I'd go pick it up. It's going to be $15 or whatever on GoDaddy, but I'd pick it up as soon as we hang up. I mean, why not?
Okay.
I mean,
yeah, you're right.
Because, I mean, you've got control over it for $15 a year. I'm a domain junkie, okay? There's been a point in time where I think I had 400 domains. And right now I'm probably around 50. And I'm very particular now with domains. But, I mean, I get an idea and I go buy the domain. And then I don't do the idea, and then I do it again and again and again. And I have a lot of good domains. I've had a lot of good domains, but I let a lot of them just go. I mean, you can't maintain them when you get that many. Maybe I didn't have 400, maybe I had 200, but I had a lot. I mean, I had pages and pages of domains on GoDaddy, and it was insane. But I love playing with names and coming up with names. And when I got something that seems hot,
you're good at it.
I go buy it.
You're good at it.
Well, you got to execute too, and you got to have time to. I mean, look at you only have time for one project. You don't have time for 400 projects. So, I mean, buying all these domains, it gets kind of silly. But I'm also I also believe that once you've searched for it, then people out there know that you've searched for it, and somebody's going to snap it up. Like if you go on GoDaddy just to see if something's available, if you don't buy it right then, I always feel like in a week or two it's going to be gone. Somebody's going to get it, because they at GoDaddy know you made that search. They know you're interested in it.
See, that's a world that I just know nothing about. I need to learn more from you, Todd.
If I own GoDaddy,
yeah,
and I don't know if they do this. I mean, it would probably be unethical, but I would consider it if I own GoDaddy. I would be recording everybody's searches. And then if they didn't buy it, I might give them 30 days to come back and buy it. And if they haven't bought it by then, but I've seen that they've searched to see if it's been taken for, 2 or 3 times over a month, after 30 days, if they didn't buy it, I'd probably have a wholesale list that went out to these places that bank these names. And I'm selling them the list of the searches that people are doing so that they can pick them up if they want to pick them up. And you know what? If that's happening, it wouldn't doubt me at all.
Listen to what Barb says. Barb brings up an interesting point.
What'd she say?
And I'm going to I agree with you, Ross. Thank you so much, Ross. Barb says, none of us own domains. We don't pay the renewal. We lose the domain. Think
Yeah.
lease
Well,
versus own.
it's like a piece of real estate. I mean,
That's interesting.
When you buy a piece of real estate, you only own it for a segment of time. And that's it. You don't own it in perpetuity. You can't control it in perpetuity. You only own it for a piece of time. And you pay taxes on it. And if you don't pay taxes on it, you lose it there too. So you don't truly ever own the land free and clear of anyone, right? Because the government's always there to take your taxes. So it's kind of the same thing with domains. It's a piece of real estate that you control. Yeah. You never truly own it. We're getting a lot of great. That
almost defeats the purpose, or that almost contradicts what I said earlier, I guess, about owning your own kind of list or owning your own quote unquote property.
Well, you know what? If you have your domain, of course, no one's going to come and take that. And then the idea is that you build your email list, and that is a piece of property that you can take anywhere else. You can take it from MailChimp to ConvertKit to, whatever. And that's something that I do these from scratch things. And this week's theme was Instagram. I was kind of hoping that next week would be YouTube. I haven't quite settled on that yet, but one I want to do is email marketing. How often do you hear about people talking about email marketing in our space? It's almost never.
Not really a lot. No, it's almost like this sort of, under the radar kind of, we all know about it. We all think about it, but we don't really we just hush hush. Or maybe it's just been talked about to death. I don't know. You're right. I don't think I've heard a lot about email marketing at all. And is that because, the heydays of email marketing where there was like a 90% open rate are long gone? Or is that just...
I don't think so. I mean, if you listen to people talk, Pat Flynn, John Lee Dumas, Cliff Ravenscraft, I mean, just name somebody, these people who have been doing it for a long time, they'll talk about how powerful and important their email list is. I totally agree. It just never goes away, but it's one of those things. It's hard work. It's hard to figure out. It's depressing because it's not an easy thing to grow. It's easy to get caught up in all the other things. But I know this, I have a business that's mail order, and when I use my email list, sales go through the roof for the time surrounding when I sent that email, or immediately after, not surrounding because that would imply both sides. But after I've sent it, I'll have a few days where sales are through the roof more often than not. And I only have a list of about 6,000 to 8,000 people. And, Pat Flynn has a list, I think, the last time I heard, and this was over a year ago, he was over 100,000 emails. I mean, and if you put out a $100 product and you mail it to that list and you have 1% buy, it's still huge.
Wow.
It's huge. And, you can come up when you're a name as big as him or any of the others that I mentioned. I mean, you're not going to dilute your services and have something come out every week. You're going to spread it out and have like just the most epic content come out and charge more money for it. But I mean, imagine you have something once a year epic that comes out and it's $1,000. You've got 100,000 people and 1 or 2% buy. Actually, I think usually the going rate is like 4 or 5% buy.
That's insane.
So it becomes big money.
I need to really dive deep into that. I mean, my list is really small right now, but yeah, it's something that I need to, especially with, how vital it is to really kind of keep your network intact and really scientifically, methodically, find ways to reach them that doesn't seem intrusive or because I think a lot of people now they delete, a lot of, now even Gmail separates promotional to primary and I'm seeing that even with Outlook now. Outlook's kind of doing a different thing now with, Focused and others. So it's interesting. We got great responses here. Ross Brand saying there's a site with your pick on it. And Barb saying email responsiveness has gone to video. However, smartphone messages are getting close. And Brad saying it's still where it's at. And beauty is you can open it at your convenience. Wow.
And I think both Brad and Barb
Good comments. Great comments, guys.
Even though they differ in their opinion here a little bit, I think they're both correct. I do think that, I've heard a lot about bots taking over time, but I still think the email list is always going to have value. I mean, that's going to be for a long time still, even if the bots become more productive for a while or at some point. I think that the email list will always have value. I mean, I think it's just too rooted in. It would be like trying to take away hashtags. to get rid of emails entirely. I mean, it might come 30 years from now. I don't see it coming in the next 3 or 5 years. That's my opinion.
Well, I mean, you know, Facebook has basically turned into a paid traffic site. It's turned into a paid subscription model, right? I mean, pretty much, because there's no such thing as organic reach anymore on Facebook, right? I mean, there's zero organic reach. So if you want to reach even the people that like your page, right? I mean, now live video, this is another benefit for going live. Live video is probably getting the most reach out of any form of content, especially on the big behemoths, right? Even YouTube is starting to push all the live streams and give it a little, the algorithm is giving it a little bit more juice, you know, especially initially in the first, there's like a 72-hour window. You know, I mean, think about it, Todd. I mean, now if you're conscientious about building a business, right, especially in the digital ecosystem now, and you really want to take it seriously and you really want to do it, you have to, I mean, investing is a huge part of it, isn't it? I mean, email marketing is an investment, right? I mean, building
Absolutely.
a landing page, building a funnel, building a lead magnet, right? Building a website that actually has the perception of value. I mean, when I go to Todd, if you go to my website, please don't go to my website, but if you go to professornez.com, you can see I'm getting redder than my shirt right now. But if you go, I haven't worked on my website in a while, which is terrible. But if you go to my website, it's just clunky. It's terrible. You go to Todd's, don't put them side by side. It's kind of like those. It's kind of like those.
Not that bad.
It's like those Weight Watchers before and after pictures. I'm the before picture.
It's
like
hilarious.
Todd's,
you come up with this stuff on the fly. It's just amazing.
But you know what? Like, dude, like your website is like an investment. I mean, I know that couldn't have been cheap, and I'm not asking you to tell me how much you spent, but I know it must have been a pretty penny.
It was a lot less than you might think. And hey, it was done by somebody here locally who I've never met in person. So if you need somebody, he's good. And I think his link is at the bottom.
Somebody.
Yeah, his link is at the bottom of the page, and he's fantastic. He's here. I think he's in Rancho Santa Margarita. But look, I've built expensive websites in the past. I mean, look, it all is based on what you're accustomed to seeing. If you're accustomed to seeing a website built for $1,000, he's going to seem real expensive. If you're accustomed to seeing a website built for $8,000 or $10,000, he's going to seem real cheap. Okay, I've paid for websites on both sides of his price, so you kind of have an idea of where he's going to fall, and he falls closer to the lower number than the higher number. So I mean, he's really good at what he does.
Wow, I love your website.
He's got a way of doing it, and I'm sure he's got a lot of cookie cutter processes. And I know he's got help. It's not just him. And look, he's outstanding work. He was actually recommended to me by a very, very big name in the business. So, you know, I don't, by suggesting that he's not an expensive service, I'm not trying to say that you're giving something up because you're not. I think he has it down to a science, and they can go through and build your website very, very quickly. They use the same tools on everybody's website or very similar tools between the different websites, and he's able to get it done and save you some money. And I've used him. He built Divorce the Workforce.
Yeah, I'll have to check him out.
Yeah, Divorce the Workforce is still up. You can go to that website. He had the whole concept of the guy walking out to the ocean in a suit with a surfboard. I mean, that was, I mean, he's very creative. He comes up with great stuff. And he'll always build my websites now. In fact, the other guy who I've had build my websites for many, many years, he's kind of retired from it. So, so my new guy is in Rancho, and I recommend him, and feel free to tell him that you came from me. In fact, we were on the subject of email, and I just wanted to throw it in there that I always need subscribers. So if you're with me tonight and you want to go subscribe on my webpage, I think there's a pop-up at Todd.LIVE, and you're welcome to subscribe. And I think you get a 7-day.
Do it now.
There's a lead magnet, a 7-day live video lead magnet. I know Brad's done it. I know Brad's a subscriber.
Oh, cool.
I have not taken advantage of sending emails. So when you subscribe to me, it's going to be lonely right now, but I'm working on that. So
am I being naive? Do you guys think I'm being naive? But I am such a fan of content marketing. Like, that's my favorite type of marketing, you know, is just creating, you know, contents. I like to write a lot for LinkedIn. You know, I love creating video. My YouTube channel's growing. Thank God.
Yeah.
Congratulations. It's growing steadily. Yeah. I'm almost at 300 subs, which for me, I just took it seriously. Like in the last 5-6 months, I mean, I've been on YouTube for about a couple years now, but I just really started because I loved it. It's another way for me to, exercise my love for creating stuff. That's what it is. So I mean, I don't know. Do you think that like I should be focusing more on email marketing, or should I just stick to, and
Well,
I think live streaming is content marketing, right? In a sense, right? It's about raising brand awareness and putting yourself out there. I mean, just people getting, to understand who you are. And I want to talk to you, Todd, about something that I think is underutilized,
okay.
which is Twitter video, which I want to get to in just a second. But I'd love to hear your thoughts because I know your Twitter game is insanely gone to such new heights.
I'm not using the video though.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting because I love using stories. I've been, I hope my Snapchat audience isn't watching, but I've been more on Instagram lately than I have on Snapchat, a lot lately, actually. I love their geo filter, kind of advertising or push, if they're the city story. I know you put your location on your stories too, Todd.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Do you get, I mean, I'm getting sick amounts of views within like my city, I mean, and I sometimes actually use different cities. Like sometimes I'll use, a city that's far away from me, or maybe I'll use Los Angeles, and I'll be in their story. And I just think that's so cool. It's like, I mean, think about it. It's like free exposure, you're getting free and it's doing something I love, which is content marketing. So I wonder if people who are watching, and especially you, Todd, and then I want to talk about Twitter video. Like, what do you think? Am I being naive? It's like, Peter, don't just stick to content marketing. You got to do everything.
Well,
or
no, I think you have to pick and choose because you only have so much time in the day, and until you hire some help, you're going to have to pick and choose. And I'm doing this right now. I mean, I've really crunched my calendar because I'm trying to up my live video game and broadcast more. I built all this stuff, and then I'm not using it anywhere to the extent that I should be. So I'm really upping the game through the remainder of this year. I'm just going to hit it really hard. And I created a calendar over the last 2 weeks, and a lot of my calendar included time for writing. But we're at 9 o'clock tonight, and by the time I go home and take a shower and have a little bit to eat, because I didn't miss dinner tonight. Last night I missed dinner, and I didn't get home until almost 10. But I mean, there's no way I'm going to write at that point. It's just not happening. And I'm an English major. I'm a recovering attorney. Words are a craft of mine, right? Yeah. So you and I, we have, and Brad, we all, have educated backgrounds with words being our craft. And this is one of the reasons why my site isn't doing anything is as I don't write on it. And, putting videos on there without anything written is not going to drive the search engines crazy. So you've got to have time to write. So I'm trying to figure that out. And, so I'm changing the way I do things. And
I think video is everything now.
I
literally think I've said this before. I think video is the predominant form of communications in the 21st century. And so coming from the author world, being a writing professor and being somebody who started off as a storyteller, everything's storytelling, right? Even a live stream is telling a story. Every time you walk, breathe, eat, sleep, you're telling a story.
Absolutely.
Like, it's so cool. Like I have been, to be honest, Todd, I've been writing a lot less. Is that good or bad? I don't know. But I love video. I love creating content on YouTube. I love live streaming. I'm a live stream. I said it on Ross's show. I'm a live stream nut job, and I'm proud of it. And I know you are too. So I don't even know if necessarily it's, and not that I'm the authority on this, but I don't even know if it's super necessary to focus so much on writing when I think that video, and I'm not saying writing's never going to die, but video is like, not only is it where it's at, but it's so convenient. It's so accessible. Most of the tablets and devices and on-the-go devices have 1080p, can shoot sometimes in 4K.
Absolutely.
You've got quality. If you add a little bit of accessorizing with audio, you can make that pumped up. I mean, I just think it's amazing. Look at what Barb said. Barb says, you honestly think Snapchat will be around in 18 months?
I do.
So, under current ownership, I want to ask you, Todd, because I first discovered Todd.LIVE, his Snapchat tips, which he did daily, were mind blowing to me. I
400
mean, you could have created an entire YouTube channel with all those tips.
I did 450 some of them, and
I was blown away. I learned a lot just by watching your tips.
Hell, I did too. I mean, it taught because when I started them, I didn't know how to use Snapchat. I just thought, okay, well, hell, I'm going to teach myself how to use Snapchat, and in the meantime, that's going to be my daily theme. Is I'm going to teach people what I taught myself that day. And I did it for 459 days or something like that. And I was going to create a Snapchat product based around that experience. But
cool.
I see the writing on the wall with Snapchat. And you know, I just don't see why I would want to put a bunch of time into a Snapchat product right now when I see it going out. I was one of the people that thought Snapchat would be able to hang in there. And I see everyone producing content on there, and I ignore it now. I go in there occasionally and look around, but I mean, and I love the platform, but I think Instagram is killing it. I think that look, you have to pick and choose. And look,
I agree.
You know, I only have so much time in the day, and I really love the Instagram feed. And Instagram, if you've been watching any of my From Scratch this week, Instagram as of April 2017, 700 million daily active users. And hold on just a minute, I got to restart the Instagram. Turns off the feed at 1 hour, so we've been going an hour, just so you know.
Right.
But
I'm having a blast.
I am too, and you know what?
I can go as long as you want. I'm having a blast.
Well, you know what? We'll hang out for another half hour or so and see. You know,
Sure.
people start tuning out. But 700 million daily active users, and between January 1st and April 30th or 30, however many days are in April. You know what? After 46 years, you'd think I'd get down which months had 31 and which months had 30.
I don't either.
You know, the only one I get is February, and I still don't know which year's the leap year. But
no, I don't pay attention to that.
You know, Instagram grew 100 million users just in those 4 months, January to April. And you know, which was more than a sixth of what they were when they came into 2017. So why would I? If I'm gonna produce content for Instagram on the static feed, or the feed that's got, you know, static pictures and video, the feed that's been Instagram since its inception, why wouldn't I be there creating the Snapchat style content and doing live video? Why would I be on Snapchat when it's just the snaps? And look, I love Snapchat. I really hate ignoring it, but I only have so much time in the day, and I don't want every time I do a snap. I call Insta Story snaps too, but every time I do a snap on Instagram, I don't want to have to go do a snap on Snapchat too. And then when something's good enough to be a snap on either one of them, why do I want to have to pick one or the other? I just got to pick one.
I fell in love with Snapchat, especially in late 2015, early 2016. And, you know, I still thought that 2016 was the year of Snap until July of 2016, when Instagram brought in their story feature. Now Facebook Messenger Day, it's getting to be kind of a headache, but I'm actually getting a lot of engagement on my Facebook stories. Barb asked us if you know, and I want to, I still think, you know what I honestly still think? Thank you, Brad.
Yeah, thanks,
Thank
Brad.
you so
Take
much.
care, buddy.
You're awesome, Brad. Can't wait to talk to you tomorrow. So I still think Snapchat's got something cooking. I don't think that they're dead.
I hope.
Everybody says they're dead, but I think that Snapchat's got something cooking. I wrote an article when Instagram first instituted stories, but I think it was July of 2016 or maybe June. I thought that I actually still think, and a lot of people disagree with me, I thought that Snapchat was going to come out with some type of live streaming module or application,
right?
And they were going to dominate the Olympics. I really thought that. Ross says Snapchat's been dead to me longer than Blab.
Funny.
Yeah, I think you're right. Even what's his name, Justin Brown, who I had on recently, he said pretty much I'm on Instagram. You know, I mean, I have a Snapchat account, but I'm never on it. Boy, I mean, that's got to sting.
Here's a big Snapchatter, Greg Gates Jr., otherwise known as Cash Chat Snap. I think some of you guys know him. He's awesome. If you don't know him, Cash Chat Snap. It's almost kind of a tongue twister. He says he's just joining us on Instagram Live. He says, well, he's saying you can know the days of the month by looking at your knuckles trick. So I don't know that trick. And then he said he started on Snap. He starts on Snapchat and reposts on Instagram. I know a lot of people that do that. He says it's cleaner for creative creation. And I do agree that Snapchat, I think Snapchat is much better for creating cool stuff than Instagram is. What I like about it, Snapchat's more of a graphic design platform where you've got the really cool filters and lenses and things. Where I think Snapchat fails, where Instagram wins as far as the add-ons, is I like there you go. I like on Instagram that you can tag in your videos.
Does that look a little better?
Maybe not. In fact, now I don't remember if I saw your Diva ring light in front of your glasses like I do now. I see,
oh, now you see it.
Yeah,
okay,
it's like you've got these. Yeah. But I love the tagging in Instagram. I love that you can write many, many things in as many letters as you want. You're not limited. So there are some creative advantages on Instagram, but they have to do with the words and the tags, how you can tag people and you can tag places and you can use hashtags. Like if I want to put hashtag cookies when I'm showing somebody a plate of cookies that I baked, then everybody who's interested in cookies can find it. There's not anything like that in Snapchat. So Snapchat has the artistic things. But Instagram has the discoverability and the text. You can fill the screen with text. You can't do that on Snapchat. It's a pain in the ass.
Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, you can fill it with text. That's a good point. I still think they got something cooking. I don't think they're just going to go down without a fight.
I've said that for over a year now.
I know. It's interesting. Like, I mean, you're right. I mean, I cannot deny reality that Instagram is absolutely crushing it. And I'm on Instagram in some respects. I'm on Twitter even way more than I am on, and just creating engagement and really, really having some great conversations on Twitter and using Twitter video with hashtags. There's something about the aesthetic. There's something about the feel when I click on a Twitter video and just the way it comes across. It's different than every other platform.
I'm gonna play with it tomorrow. Look for me tomorrow.
I'm telling you right now. And sometimes I repurpose my Instagram stories on Twitter too. But you know what? It's so cool. Twitter native video. And I talked with Ross about LinkedIn having native video. I know you're not big on LinkedIn, Todd.
I don't even like to go anywhere near it. It's like,
I know you don't.
No, I can't stand it. I feel like I need to wear a suit when I'm there. And I just, that's repulsive at this point in my life. You know? Yeah,
no, I totally get it.
If I was going to submit a resume, that's where I would be. Otherwise, I don't want to have anything to do with it.
Right, right. I mean, I think a lot of entrepreneurs feel that way. But it's since Microsoft took over and Satya Nadella's a smart cookie, I think that, LinkedIn has, and their interface, everything. I mean, the way the timeline, the feed works and everything, it's a great place for B2B. But I think that, especially you being a consultant, Todd, and me being a consultant, and a lot of people watching who want to, establish themselves as a services or a digital marketing agency or what have you, it's a great way to get leads, and leads that have money. You know what I'm saying?
I probably should be there. It's just another thing. And when I actually logged in the other day, and I don't even know what the hell's going on. I mean, there's so much crap all over the screen. Yeah. None of it makes sense. It almost feels like it's supposed to be Facebook, but it's not. Doesn't
it feel a lot? I mean, it's trying to look a lot more, have the UX.
There's all these, like everywhere I look where it looks like, in places where intuitively I should be able to get something done. Instead, there's a promotion like try the premium, or, it's like, good God Almighty, I don't know what the fuck is going on here. I mean, I go in and I think, okay, I'm going to give it a shot. And within 5 minutes, I'm backing out.
You're out. Well, it's a new, I think what you're saying right there really speaks to the fact that you need to find a space where you just feel like you're putting on an old t-shirt, and, places like Instagram and Facebook for you, I think. And it's like putting on an old t-shirt, and that's great. Look at Ross. Ross said, I wanted to tag Todd on LinkedIn, but I couldn't find him.
Yeah, I'm on there. People found Justin Wu found me the other day, which is kind of cool. And I think I connected with him. I don't usually connect with people because I don't even want to go in there, but Justin Wu wanted to connect with me. And I don't know, Hackapreneur, right? Justin Wu, he is phenomenal.
Justin Wu's great.
And he just got a Wikipedia page, And
Oh, cool.
he's really, you know, he gets a lot of stuff done.
He's a busy dude. He's all over the place.
He is. And so when he sends me a friend request in LinkedIn, I'm going to go in there and do it. But like most of the time, it's just like friends and family. It's like, I'm already friends with you on Facebook. Screw it. I'm not. And I'm friends with Justin on Facebook. But Justin got me into LinkedIn so I could accept his friend request because it happened. And it's Justin Wu. I love the guy. I mean, he's everywhere. Yeah. But yeah, LinkedIn, it's tough. But you know, I'm with you. I think that the video is where it's heading. I wouldn't be here if I didn't think that. I mean, I totally pivoted from Divorce the Workforce into this without giving it a whole lot of thought, despite a lot of suggestions otherwise. People were like, oh, you got to stick with that. It's so great. And, you know, it's like, it's just not where my passion is. I got into the video stuff and it just really took me away.
Do you think Snapchat should do live streaming, or is that just a real ridiculous idea?
Well, it's just redundant at this point. If they would have been,
it's just redundant at this point.
Yeah, if they would have been one of the first ones in there. But I mean, if I go live on Instagram, I have great discoverability. I don't have any. You know, I think first off, if Snapchat's going to have a chance, they need better discoverability. Yeah, and that really is a crutch. And it was unique and interesting, and it worked for a while. But everybody else is raising the bar so high and making it. I mean, look. Roberto Blake always uses the word friction or frictionless. I don't know if he used that during your interview with him a couple weeks ago or whenever that was. I remember seeing it, but I can't remember if it was close or far behind us. But I always know when I'm around him, he's always using the word friction or frictionless, and he's always trying to find ways that are the least amount of friction to get the job done and to get it to maximize the results. And Snapchat is there's a lot of friction there. You know, you've got to work your ass off. Even when I had first of all, my best following was when they had autoplay, and it would go from one story to the next, and I would have 300 or 400 views on all my snaps. When they got rid of that, and I was on it before they had that. And when I was on it before they had it, I had like 120 views on all of my stuff. And then they did the autoplay, and I was like 300-400 on everything. It was like, yeah, that's awesome. Then they got rid of autoplay, and I was down around 30 again. 30. And even today, like as big as my Snapchat account is, when I go in there, I might have 15 or 20 people look at it. And a lot of the people that used to watch me every day, they're just, you know, they've moved on because I'm just not snapping anymore. But they also follow me in other places now. You know, a lot of these people. And
isn't it interesting that Instagram has autoplay? Isn't it interesting?
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know, I think Evan Spiegel's brilliant, but I think he's stubborn and childish too. Come on.
Interesting. Oh yeah, totally.
Try these things. Totally. Let's do them. He's prideful. Let's just, you know.
I totally agree. I think people even who work there would say that about it. Even the sort of C-level executives, you know, the CFO and others. Good to see you, Barb. Thank you so much. You're awesome.
Oh, is Barb taking off? Good to see you, Barb. Yeah, thanks for hanging out. Jacqueline Price is with us. Let's see. I admit that I am.
She doesn't have the energy to keep up with two schmucks late at night.
I'll tell you what, it is thinning out a little bit here. We've got 1, 1, and 3. So,
well, thank you guys so much for watching. Ross, Barb, Jacqueline, Brad, everybody who's been watching, and you guys watching on the replay. You guys are awesome. I hope we haven't bored you to death.
Dude, I don't think so. I think we've had fun tonight.
I've had a blast. I want the audience to have a blast too.
I do too. Well, I think that you know, a couple things. One, you know, trying to get a surprise guest or a semi-surprise guest every night.
That's a cool idea.
The other thing too is recurring guests. I mean, you know, after a week or two have gone by, come on back. I mean, you know, recurring guests. There's so much new going on. There's always something to talk about. In fact, tonight I wanted to talk a little bit, and we'll save this for next time.
Thank you, Jacqueline.
Facebook Watch. Have you seen any of the news coming out about Facebook Watch?
Wait a minute. Refresh my memory.
I think it's called Facebook Watch.
What the hell is that?
Look it up on Google. Apparently, this is going to be there. I've already seen headlines that said it's Facebook's attempt to kill YouTube. It's going to be an app in your phone that gives you discoverability. Oh, awesome, Ross. Thank you. I love it, Ross. Thanks for your support, buddy. I hope it's a winner. I consider it a winner already. I've had 3 great guests. I've got a 4th one tomorrow, and every night we have a lot of people watching for a show that just started.
This is the most fun I've had. I mean, this is a blast, man. This is fun.
I'm glad that you're enjoying it. But look up Facebook Watch. It's going to be like a TV guide of people doing Facebook videos.
You know what I never forget? You know, that's really interesting that you said that because I'll never forget, and I know Ross knows and most people watching know who Mary Smith is, real big Facebook influencer, right? she actually said something so interesting to me that she said that Facebook is Facebook now is where YouTube was in 2006, which is interesting to me because what Mary was alluding to is that Facebook is going 1 billion% all in on video,
Yep.
specifically live video. I mean, I talked about this with Ross. There's no such thing as organic reach anymore, really, on Facebook. However, your best shot at getting organic, and I'm not complaining about that. I mean, it's not the best thing in the world, but I'm not complaining about it. But it is what it is, right? Interesting that she said that Facebook is where YouTube was in 2006.
It is interesting. Ross and I had a huge discussion today, off the record kind of a thing. We sometimes connect on Skype and just chit chat. I'm sure you do as well with Ross or other people.
Ross is a champ.
And Ross and I were talking about this today. We were talking about the value of being places like on YouTube, even if you're not getting watchers. The value of being on Facebook, maybe more often than less. And I think that we're in such the early stages that you've got to produce content, and it's got to be good content. Look, I'm trying to produce 10 shows a week right now. Okay, that's a lot, but they're all different shows, so I feel like the content won't get diluted and ridiculous. I'm hoping that's the case, and you know what? If not, we got to find a way to throw pies through the internet so I can get smacked in the face, or something like that. But
hey, that's not a bad idea. Like instead of hearts and thumbs up, right? Like a big AR like pie that comes right across the screen.
Yeah.
Like who the hell threw a pie? Who threw a tomato? What am I, a tomato?
yeah. I mean, really, but I mean, I just got thinking that we're in such the early days that I'm just going to start producing the content that I've wanted to produce that I've put off for various reasons, and I'm going to let the chips fall where they may. I think there's other people doing that. I think we're all doing that to some degree. I mean, we really don't know. And things we do today that, like, I do Create and Engage and get real serious about it, and you do Neznation Live and get real, but that doesn't mean in 2 years that Neznation, I mean, you may pivot a little bit from that as your audience grows and the question, I mean, so we're all kind of trying to feel our way through this.
Yeah.
And it's early in this whole live video thing. So,
yes.
Ross was asking me, what's the point of being on YouTube if no one's watching? Well, YouTube notices all this live content that I'm sending in HD 2 or 3 times a day. I promise you they notice. And the videos are archived and tagged and people can find them and hopefully they watch, but I'm building a catalog over there. And, same thing on Facebook, Periscope. I mean, when you can get places and do it, I think it's going to be a good thing.
Well, the biggest thing that YouTube has, the biggest thing that putting your content on YouTube, and I love what Ross said, Facebook is the potential to become the internet.
Yeah.
But the biggest leverage that YouTube has is it is the second largest search engine on the planet. So you can't search, you can't really, Facebook really isn't a search engine, right? I mean, it's just not. I mean, it sort of is, but it's not even near the breadth and depth and volume of YouTube. So if you understand SEO, keyword tag, description,
yep.
This is talk about archiving. I mean, I've got videos right now, Todd, that I've created 2 years ago that are just now getting volumes. I mean, hundreds and hundreds of views and hits. And it's amazing to me is when I was looking at and there's also these extensive analytics, like YouTube analytics are insane, right?
Yep.
I mean, I can find out specifically if it's a female living in Tunisia who has 1 kid or is on their mobile device. It's just unbelievable. So, I mean, that's one thing that YouTube, you have to really be cognizant of the fact that it's the second largest search engine on the planet. And the first search engine, the number 1 search engine is Google. And guess who Google owns?
Yep.
YouTube, right? So
absolutely.
That's a family that if you're a content creator like me, that's a family that you need to be invited to that dinner table. Hopefully you're invited to that dinner table often.
Absolutely. Our friend Greg Gates Jr. saying YouTube is a form of video resume. Absolutely. People look.
Great point. That's a great point.
Yeah. When you tell people that you're in the online space, they're going to do a couple things.
Dude,
Twitter,
YouTube.
They're going to go look you up.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sorry, Todd. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
To speak to what Greg said, I had a client, on LinkedIn, right? Because I work as a LinkedIn consultant. I had a client say to me, I had 5 different proposals. and I saw your proposal, and this is for a career coaching client. And he said, I saw your videos on YouTube, and I said, this is my guy. So the proof's in the pudding.
Yeah.
I mean, what video does is it three-dimensionalizes you, right? Like a resume is a two-dimension thing, right? I mean, seeing a landing page or a website, it's a two-dimensional thing, or a cover letter or anything like that. But video, it humanizes you, right? That's what
Absolutely.
it does. It brings you to life. And I still to this day think that every company, even like Pepsi Cola to the local, AC guy, I think they can utilize live video in the most powerful way. And like you said, we're all early adopters practically.
Yeah.
This is still, even YouTube. YouTube's been around for 10 years.
I think it's still early.
It's still a baby. I mean, think about some of these businesses that have been around for hundreds of years, right? I mean, it's still baby. Everything's baby. And Gary talks about that all the time, that we're living in an era where this is the second industrial revolution. It's a perfect point. I love what Ross says, the portfolio method.
That's good. I like that. Is that yours, Ross, or did you read that? That's a great name. You need to coin that.
That's really good.
It is good.
By the way, have you coined the values in the hallway?
I'm going to have I got to have a shirt done. I'm going to have a shirt done, and I'm going to wear it to conferences.
That's a sick shirt. I think that'd be a great, wait a minute. That'd be a great title for a live stream, actually. The values in the hallway.
Well, I've thought about that, and I've thought about, here's the concept. If I were to turn that into a show,
of course you made that up, Ross. You're a creative genius.
if I turn that into a show, it's going to be a periodic show, and so it might not be that great, but as far as generating the kind of looks, but it would be about going to these shows and talking about the shows. Like I'm going to Podcast Movement in 2 weeks.
I know you're excited about that.
Yeah,
I mean, that's got to be. You got to do some serious streaming over there.
Well, and I'm going to do the best I can, and our buddy Mike Unplugged is going to be there. So,
cool.
One thing I'd like to do is start having people from the show come as a guest and talk about the show and their experience at the show and what they enjoyed and what they didn't, or whatever. And that would be the show. Maybe I'm going to give myself a show to start right after Podcast Movement. I'll have to think about that.
That's not a bad idea. Not a bad idea.
And just talk about, it's like groupie chatter about, how is social media marketing world for you? And we just get on and have a conversation about, the experience of the thing. I've thought about that. I don't know if it will go very far, but I've thought about it.
Dude, you've got kill. I got to tell you, everybody watching, Todd, your brain is like, it's wizardry, man. You got great ideas. And I'm not just saying that. I'm serious. Like, I have you in the back of my head sometimes when I think about titling a specific YouTube video, titling a broadcast, titling a Periscope, because you got great titles, man. You got great ideas for what to call something and then what's the context underneath that. And I agree with Ross. This show right here, this sort of blab-esque, just have somebody pop on, a mystery guest. Dude, that's like really cool, man. That's just really like thinking outside the box.
Look, in certain ways, let me be clear and let me be completely transparent. A lot of it, having like the guest at the last minute or even make it a total mystery guest is so that quite honestly, it initially came because I have less pre-production work. I don't have to draft as many and promote. And look, all that stuff is friction and it I don't want to have, for every broadcast, like this broadcast, I have to create 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, probably 4 different lower thirds or graphics for the broadcast itself. And then I've got to put them in PNG and put them on Twitter and Facebook. And what if I ask you for a headshot and then that becomes part of the project? And some people give you crappy headshots and you've got to try to
links and website links and
it becomes a lot of work. So I want, I want a few of my broadcasts in order to broadcast more and to make it less of a chore. Is the broadcasts have less friction. So this one,
that's great.
There's no work that goes into it aside from arranging the guest and doing some lower thirds. And I will do some post-production stuff, some promoting and stuff. But going into it, it's just like you roll up the sleeves and have some fun.
I love it.
And then coming out of it's just the repurposing part. So
yeah, I totally love it. I think that's absolutely true. And I like that idea of getting those barriers and those blockades out of the way.
Just trying,
And
yeah. I mean,
velocity. It's about velocity,
I
right?
mean,
Like just getting it going.
is there anybody that's with us or that's watching in replay? Leave a comment that does live video and has one of their frustrations is the volume of things you have to do prior to the show and after the show, whether you're doing it on 4 channels or 1 channel. There's a lot of work involved. So, you know,
Oh my God, if I can really quickly,
Yeah.
I know Ross might not like this, but when before we went live, you know, on his show, it was kind of, we were kind of nearing, or maybe we were like even past the actual time we were supposed to go live. But I mean, I think I even talked about this on the show, so I'm not sharing anything that he doesn't, I hadn't already shared. But he had a look on his face, and it was like that, like I'm a live streamer too, like connection. I was like, oh boy, I know that look. And it was like he had that look of like, you know, I couldn't get something to work. And then I asked him about it, and he's like, yeah, this webcam thing, I wanted to hook up. You know, you're totally right. It's like it takes a lot to go into these broadcasts. I mean, it really does, because all of us care. Ross Brand, Todd.LIVE, Professor Nez. Yes, I'm talking to myself in third person. We all care. And if you care about putting on a good show, you know what I mean? You try to do the best you can. Like my set, I'm so pissed off at my set. Look at Todd's set. I love it. Look at Ross's set. Like I want to, well, Ross's set. I mean, I'm not so sure about Ross's set. Ross, I had to dig you there a little bit. Ross kind of looks like he's a hostage.
He's going to hang up.
Ross kind of looks like a hostage in Silence of the Lambs 3 or something in his set. But anyway, no, but like I want to create a set that's really dynamic.
He's a hostage.
Like Jacqueline.
Oh my gosh.
Jacqueline,
it rubs the lotion on the skin.
Come here, Clarice. But like honestly, like we care, and I saw that look on Ross's face, and I knew that look. I instantaneously knew that look, because it's the same look that and the same feeling I have. You know, what? And do you ever feel like this, Todd? That when you go live, you know, it's almost like you have everything prepped and ready, but then there's always 1 or 2 things that kind of go awry, and you're just like, wait a minute, that was working 2 seconds ago.
Yeah.
Why is you know what I mean? Like, why is my feed? Why is my internet all of a sudden? Why am I getting disconnected? Why are my lights flickering? It's amazing.
Well, you know,
Murphy's Law, right?
It's going to happen whether you have a team or not, right?
Right.
And, you know, this stuff is all set up by a human, you or me or whatever. And so there's going to be problems. What I do is I try to remove as many friction points as I can. For instance, I've got all these LED lights, and so I have them all plug. I was going to plug them in around the room and just turn them on individually as I walk around the room. What I did, and I actually had I had a light, a power strip on one side of the room, a power strip on the other, and I'd turn each one on, and it would hit like 3 of the lights. Well, why do I want to do that? I want one strip. So here beside my computer is a strip right on my desk behind all this, behind the Diva light and everything. And I push the one button and every single light goes on. I push the button, every single light goes off. Same thing with the audio. I have a Scarlett, I have a compressor audio gate, I have a mixer. I push one button and all 3 of them power up. Okay. So I have 2 strips here. One's for the audio and one's for the lights. And the reason I don't put them on the same thing is because a lot of the times I'm testing the audio and I don't want the lights coming on and off as I screw around with the audio. But everything I do is planned. I have, you know, to record Instagram Live, I have 2 tripods with iPads on them, and I leave them sitting where they are all the time, plugged in, so that I don't have to move them around and readjust them. And so it's all about trying to find, and I'm constantly tweaking and making it a better studio. You know, arranging my, you know, I've been trying to figure out what to do with the wire on my microphone coming down my boom. And I was interviewing Mike Murphy, and he had these nice straps. I was always wondering why they didn't have straps on the boom to hold the wire. And I never really thought. I keep these straps around. Hold on, I'm going to grab them. I keep these.
That's actually really smart.
This is one of the most valuable things that I keep in my office, are these like oversized twisty ties that I get at the garden center at Lowe's. They're black.
That's smart.
They're black,
that's
so
smart.
they blend
Little
in.
Garden ties.
So and they come in like a pack of 500. So I'm constantly clipping them and readjusting them and fixing things, cords, attachments, whatever, and just trying to make it so that when I want to go live, it's the least amount of work humanly possible, so that it doesn't burn me out. I have fun. I don't have as much time into it. It's a good win for me, and hopefully that translates into I broadcast more, have fun more, all that. And I think I think we all do this to some degree or another. But
Yeah.
perfection,
No,
my friend.
I mean, it's like sometimes it feels like the entire universe is conspiring against me to go live. It's like, and I've got kids, young kids, and I've had my sort of news moment when a kid has come in a live stream. I don't know if you remember that one that went viral where the guy's kids came in.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, I've had that happen. It's like, yeah, and it's so funny. It's like, I mean, Jacqueline, I'm sure you can relate to this, and everybody can. 1 second, you like the minute before you go live, everything's perfect, right? Or maybe 10 minutes before, and then all of a sudden it's airtime, and then holy mackerel, like this thing went out, or audio's not working, or something's popping, fizzing.
Well, it's like Jen Nelson pointing out that one of my slides in my layers had Ross Brand's name on it still. And it's,
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, you just got to roll with it. I could get all upset and turn off the broadcast and restart it. That's silly. So I have one slide that my solo still has Nez, and your solo has Nez, but it is what it is. We got to roll with it. Well, so hey, for those who are watching it in replay, because I think everybody with us knows who you are very well, and knows where to find you. But for those who are watching in replay, if they haven't listened to the whole thing, or if they're whatever the case may be, I always like my guests to close out. Where can they find you? So Nez, where are you, buddy?
Oh, thank you so much, Todd. And by the way, everybody give a like and follow to Todd, and go to his website and sign up for his email list. This dude is crushing it in the live stream game.
Thank you, my friend.
And he is just jam-packed with wisdom. So thank you, Todd, for having me on. This has been a blast.
Thank you for being my guest multiple times.
So much fun, dude. So much fun. And we are going to get some tacos very soon together.
Cool. I'm down.
So yeah, so you can go to I'd really like to have you guys come to my Facebook business page, Professor Nez, and like it there. I do have my website, professornez.com, and please by all means register there and sign up there. But I really repurpose everything on my Facebook business page and my YouTube channel. I'm doing a lot on my YouTube channel. If you just Google, literally forget about links and all this or .com or that, just literally Google Professor Nez, and you'll find me everywhere. Thank you, Jacqueline. I totally relate to your camera freezing. That's happened to me a bunch.
It happens, doesn't it? And it at the wrong moment every time.
Always at the wrong moment. And so just Google Professor Nez, and I'd love for you to check out my videos on my YouTube channel, my Facebook live show, Neznation Live, as Todd mentioned. We've got a great guest tomorrow, and I'm sorry, not tomorrow, on Friday. It's every Friday night, 7 p.m. Pacific. We've got a great guest coming up this Friday, Tim Longwell. He's a YouTube artist and creator and video creator. And then we also have my Mindset Live show every Monday morning. That's blasted on YouTube Live and my Facebook show. So I would love for you guys to check that out, man. Thank you so much, Todd.
Love it. And folks, follow, like, subscribe Professor Nez anywhere that you can. I want to do a little shout out to our list of people that were commenting tonight. Jacqueline Price, Ross Brand. Let's see here. I know there were others. I know Jen Nelson, Barb Tomlin. Boy, we had a lot of discussion tonight among this crew.
There was a lot. Thank you so much for watching, everybody.
Ebony Prad, you, Peter, Professor Nez, you commented even. Boy, I always make it. I find it hard to comment. Rosie Maria Carafelli. Sorry if I butchered that name. I'm going to stop there. This list goes on and on. But everybody who joined in tonight, commented, shared, thank you so much. Thank you for your support. We had a great time. Tomorrow night is Coach Jenny. So I know Coach Jenny. I've met her in person at Summit Live, and she is a blast. Her book, Hilda, if you want to get prepared for tonight's, well, you won't have the book in time. Amazon doesn't have drones yet, but Hilda is her book. Look it up on Amazon, order it. And Professor Nez's book. What's your name of your book again? Hang it up real quick.
A Conversation with Fear.
Yeah, let's show it off.
You can get this on Amazon.
Awesome.
This is a real short, almost a micro narrative where it's literally almost like a play. It's a creative sort of self-help book where it's literally like a character named after my son, Sam, who's having literally a conversation, like a dialogue. The entire book is a dialogue between this character and fear, like a character named Fear, who is fear, who embodies fear. Right. And it's a story told through dialogue, basically like a play, where, the kind of sort of gist of it is that fear is this unbelievable teacher. So, yeah. I'd love for you to check that out.
Absolutely. It's on Amazon, folks, so check it out. I'm going to close out. Professor Nez, thanks again so much for being my friend,
Thank you, man.
for being so supportive.
Anytime you need anything, I'm your man.
You and I have been doing this. We got about the same start, and we got a long way to go, but it's fun, and I'm glad to be doing it with you, Ross. I mean, there's just a whole group of us. I'm not going to go through all the names, but a lot of people out there, you know who you are. We're all doing this, working hard, trying to have fun, and we're all going to get there. It's going to happen.
Yep. Yeah.
All right, folks, until tomorrow, let me see. Let me close it out here.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, too. Take care, folks. Facebook's closing out right now. YouTube and Periscope are quickly behind them. I've already shut out Instagram.